You are listening to Radio Maria Canada, a Catholic voice wherever you are. We now present the program Beyond the Pages with our host, Christina Doyle.
Speak to me, call me from the darkness. Just one word can break my heart. Will what breaks yours? Speak to me, call me from the darkness. Just one word can break my heart. Will what breaks yours?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Pages, a program in which we interview Catholic writers and their books. Well, today we have a very special treat. Today we have a Canadian, and Yahoo for us, Canadian Nigerian filmmaker, and we are so pleased to have this wonderful special guest, Bisong Taiwo. He is an award-winning Nigerian-Canadian filmmaker based in Winnipeg. Working at the intersection of film and theology, he weaves spiritual themes into his pieces with a dream to contribute to the vast tapestry of sacred art by producing films that resonate with audiences on a spiritual level. Bisong's latest work is his completed piece called Mary's Way of the Cross. Well, and this, of course, are the 14 stations of the cross. And we all know what that's like ourselves when we're in church and we are praying the 14 stations, and we know the feelings that come over us. And there might even be tears as we're walking through the stations. Well, today, Bisong's beautiful piece, and I'm just going to finish what I was going to introduce his beautiful piece. It's actually been picked up by the Winnipeg Film Group, and it's currently on the festival circuit, winning the Toronto International Nollywood Film Festival Award for Best Canadian Short Film. The film has also been covered in major publications across Canada and the United States. And if you go to the Catholic National Register, you'll see a lovely article there as well. But we here on Radio Maria Canada, we have our guest right here in the flesh and looking pretty nice and cool. And he's not freezing, even though it's Winnipeg, right, Bisong?
That's right. It's
Uh,
-4 on this glorious sunny day.
Absolutely. And here I am in my kitchen, and you can see there might be some sun coming in and out. It's a beautiful day and a wonderful way to introduce Bisong and his beautiful piece called Mary's Way of the Cross. I must tell you before we begin, I wrote some of my own notes. Like if you hear, when you hear this, this is audio and it's visual together, and you hear and you see the words coming up, but words like you hear the baritone voice, and it's so deep. And of course, this is such a dark moment in Jesus' life, the darkest moment of all, the final hours that Jesus lives on this earth. And it really, that voice and you hear thunder, and you'll hear like rain, and it just sounds so incredibly sad. And of course it is sad, but it just adds to everything. It enriches what you're seeing. It's like a multi-dimensional feeling when you're listening to this film, and it deepens the scene, and it keeps us in the Lord's misery. That's what it does. It just keeps us, it doesn't let up. We know what's coming, and you just see the progression. The sound effects, Bisong, are fantastic. As I said, the thunder. And then there's a beautiful voice of singing. And she says, "Oh, my sweet son, oh my goodness, Bisong." As a mother, hearing that, I I had Kleenex with me, and I had to listen to that, and I had to stop it and then play it again because it was so incredibly it just gripped me, to be honest. Bisong, what inspired you to create this film about the 14 Stations of the Cross?
Well, first of all, I have to say a very big thank you for bringing me on this platform to talk about this. It is, I'm actually kind of shy, so if my voice is shaky or if I'm stumbling or, just uh,
You have
bear with
nothing
me.
to worry.
Yeah, so, it's interesting because the way it started, the initial concept of it and how it ended up to be are two very different things. Um, the idea came into my mind while I was at mass, and rather than paying attention to, the priest, the stations are always along the walls, and the ones in my parish are lit very
Oh,
cinematic. It has just the light on top and it drops down on each of the pictograms and they cause these shadows. And for some reason, this was back in 2019. For some reason, I just found myself staring at them. And then when I caught myself, I'm like, wait a second, why am I so attracted to these images? It was as if uh, something new had just opened, even though I had been going to that parish for the past 10 years or so. So I decided, you know what, since I make films, I'm just going to try to create something about the stations. And it was never going to be from Mary's point of view. It was just going to be I would shoot those in,
oh,
and then I would just have that overlaid on top of somebody reading each station. So I would just film them, in the church pew, and they're reading it. And then as they're reading it, I would just show each of the
mm,
pictures. So
mm.
that's how the idea started. Now, obviously, between then and now is quite a story.
And I would like you to share that because it's it's interesting that while you're at mass and during that quiet time, Mother Mary obviously tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I'd like you to take it from my point of view of how I'm seeing it." It's so important. So what would you say your goal would be then to in making this in this film?
Yeah, like all of, of our great Catholic art in the history of Catholic art, you think about the sculptures, the paintings, the poetry, the music, all of that is designed to bring a viewer closer to God. Really, that's the end game,
And
and it's through this craftsmanship that people are just drawn not only into the piece of work, which has to be technically excellent on its own, that it will draw even non-Christian. I mean, if you think about most of the cathedrals around the world, the Sistine Chapel, the Notre Dame in Paris, Christians and non-Christians alike go there
yeah.
because it is such a compelling piece of artistry. And so that's my end game with all of my work. I don't know if this one has achieved that, but that's the end game with when I create these pieces of art.
Well, I think you've achieved that end game with this remarkable film. Um, so I don't want to interrupt you on that question. So can you share really then your inspiration of how this came? So you were in the church, you're standing there, you're watching the Stations of the Cross are all lit up, and then what happened? Like, how did that
Right,
image come to you?
right. Right. So this was at the end of 2019. So the idea was,
COVID.
you betcha,
Mm.
that's exactly what happened. I was going to shoot it in around March 2020, and then that was exactly when the pandemic happened.
Mm.
So that pretty much stopped any kind of public shooting for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
And then in 2021, while things were starting to die down and I started to get this project back up, then there was the incident at the residential schools where all those unmarked graves were found.
Right.
So it's like, all right, now all the priests are dealing with this. Nobody has my time to give me space to shoot in the parish, right? So that was another year that I had to delay the project. So in these 2 years, the idea kind of kept on iterating in my mind. One of the iterations was when I watched The Passion of the Christ, which I try not to watch all the time because that is a brutal movie.
Yeah.
But I watched it this one time, and then I noticed all the scenes with Mary. All of a sudden, they just jumped out at me. So I took the film, like I own the film. I downloaded it to my editing program. I stripped out all the scenes except just Mary's scenes. That was about 6 minutes. So I did that. I took some voiceover, put it there, put some music, and I was like, that's the film, right?
My
Because
goodness.
Mel Gibson really captured her essence during those periods, and the actress did an incredible job. So when I did that, that was the template for what the film would eventually become.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's the voice is very gripping. It's you know, I there's a part in there that I shared with you and I'll share it with our audience, but Mary says, I know why. And so I follow silently. And and that's exactly it. It's like, when Mary was approached by, when she was visited by the angel Gabriel, and she accepted, she said yes, that she would care, that she would have this child through the Holy Spirit, and she accepted it. There was no doubt in her mind. There was no question, why me, or how come, and what would happen. And there she is again with following her son that she raised, and then she knows what's coming as well, and she just says, I know why. And she's just like, I'm gonna walk with you too. I'm gonna suffer right along with you, which she did, right? And it's such a gripping film. And I love the part, and I wrote it down. For you are greater than death. I knew this had to be. In faith, I will wait for you. I thought, oh my goodness, the words themselves are compelling, Bisong. The words are so compelling. And she fully accepted that responsibility, and she had accepted the will of God through that bitter time. I find that you've achieved your goal, I'll tell you. Did you find, was there any challenges along the way in producing this, money-wise, any of that? Did you encounter any challenges along the way?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Making any film is full of challenges. The money part you mentioned, I mean, most of the films that I make, I finance out of pocket just because it's a little difficult. I mean, now it's interesting because now I'm starting to get commissioned to produce stuff. So
nice.
but I credit that to the investment I made out of pocket into my films in to get to this level. And when you start picking up these awards, it helps to boost your profile. So,
Absolutely.
but with this film, yes, it was entirely funded out of credit cards and
Oh, dear. Oh,
other business expenses. I would not recommend it.
yeah,
Um,
no.
I wouldn't. So that was the challenge. Then, of course, there was the 2 year gap that I had to delay the project. And then the scope of the project increased significantly because it went from one parish to filming in 14 different parishes.
In the Winnipeg
And
area?
yes, they
In
were
the
all
Winnipeg.
in Actually, no, not just in Winnipeg, in
No.
Manitoba.
Oh, good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so there's a parish I shot in a First Nation reserve actually in a
Wow.
second First Nation, some in Brandon, some in a few other places. Of course, my home parish appears twice. Uh but the logistics in planning to shoot all these different places all over the province was quite the challenge because I didn't have a producer. I'm my own producer on this. So I had to
Yes.
organize all of that, make all the calls, pitch to everyone who picked up what the project is, why I was making it. I would get questions like, is this a horror film that you're doing? Like, what are you really trying to do here? Like, no, 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 no. This is actually, it's a cool thing.
Yeah,
And so there was all of that, all of those logistical challenges. But you know what? I think it all worked out at the end of the day.
it
And
did.
I love the challenge of making films. That's part of why I do it because I know the end product makes all those things in just see like what the vision is supposed to be.
Right, right. So I was just going to ask you then, have you had much feedback regarding the project? So in terms of the other churches, and let's start with your own parish. What was the feedback from your parishioners? Have you
Yeah,
had?
so the feedback I've received, to be honest, has been a little too positive for my liking. And I say that just because I think I think that may be less about the quality, and this is just my opinion. I think it might be less about the film's quality and more about the exposed or the lack of exposure it's gotten. I think what I'm expecting for some kind of, I don't, maybe not negative, but constructive feedback, the more people see it. But so far, all the feedback I've gotten has been like amazing. And
Oh,
I'm like, are
good.
you sure that you don't have any issues with this? And it's like, no, no, no. It's kind of like your feedback, really. And I'm like, man, uh, how do I how do I improve from here? And then of course there's the festival thing too, that where it gets selected and the award that it won, which was nice because Best Canadian Short Film was in competition with all short films, not just in Winnipeg, but in
Yes,
Canada.
in
So
Canada.
so that was nice too. But in my mind, that's like it's a little too clean.
But you know what? You're having a little bit of doubt, and you have to believe that you're right. Getting the award Best Canadian Film is no small potatoes. So you're right. You are you're, Mr. From Winnipeg, and no one knows Bisong Taiwo, and here he is. All of a sudden, you capture the prize, man. You did amazing. That's amazing, amazing, amazing. And that in itself, you should embrace that. And you just, when you speak to them, say, this is an award-winning, a Canadian award-winning film. This is not just a film anymore. This is a Canadian award-winning film. So you need to always preface it like that because that's what it has earned. And you know what? Blessed Mother wants that out there. She wants your film out there. That's why these are like little signs for you, Bisong, to show you that you're on the right track and you really have this gift, you have this talent, and you had this inspiration while you were at mass. So everything is falling into place, and every door will open up another door. That's my gut feeling for this film. Um, what is your next step then with this project?
I'm currently in talks with a distributor right now who wants to take on the film and pitch it to broadcasters and cable channels, that kind of both in Canada and in the US. So that is kind of nice because it takes away, we're talking about this before the show, but I think my strength is in the creative and the production part of filmmaking. But when it comes to marketing and distribution, it's a weak point that I have. So having an external distributor help me with that is great. Now,
Yes.
because you mentioned the Winnipeg Film Group, I should clarify that there is a short version of this film. It's about 12 minutes because the film festival isn't going to play a 60-minute film at a
Right.
festival.
Right.
So I made a 12-minute version, and
Uh-huh.
that's what's been going to the festival. So that's
Oh,
what the Winnipeg Film Group acquired and has been taking it around.
my
And
goodness.
yeah, so that was also
How did
nice.
you do that? That's 12 minutes from a, so
Yeah, it
how did you
was
even
the
manage?
I took the last four stations. I took the last four stations and just put that together and kind of made an abridged version of, because the last four stations are the climax of the events. So I felt, all right, if I do that, it might play better to a secular audience because these film festivals are not religious film festivals, right?
Right, right. That in itself is the fact that you even got the award, considering it is, you're right, it's mostly it's secular. So
I was very
that,
surprised by that.
yeah, I'm sure you were. And that's wonderful that to say that the Canadian film industry is opening up doors and there are opportunities for Catholic filmmakers in Canada to pursue projects like this one. So then my question would be then, have you ever considered having it translated into other languages so that it could reach on a global scale?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons I designed the film the way it is, and I've done this before. So there's a short film I did called Proverbs 31, and it's
Right.
it's a very similar style. It's 5 minutes, and it's narration on top of visuals. And so that's a style I've been practicing because the advantage to that is you can easily switch the language of the narrator to any other language and the film would still work exactly the
Beautiful.
same.
So
So that's
is
the plan.
oh, that's the plan. So you
Yes.
haven't gotten into that as yet, but you
No.
will be.
Yeah, localization is kind of expensive. You have to rewrite the whole script in
Right.
in the language, and then you have to do the voice recording in the language. So it's two elements to that.
Right. Now, the woman's voice throughout, can you share any information? Who is this woman with this
Right.
deep
So
voice?
right. I should maybe I'll speak about the construction of Mary, the character herself, because she's composed of different elements.
Right.
So there's the actress who is Gloria Thompson, and I've worked with Gloria for a few other projects. Obviously, she's amazing as you've seen in the film. So she brought the persona of Mary in her reflective state because it's not a reenactment of the events at the Passion. It's more of an internal reflection of trying to imagine what's going on in a mother's mind. So there's that part. Then there's the costume designer, Choga, we designed the costumes into about four different phases. And so every four stations, the costume changes to something else. And so that's something we worked on over, and I like Choga is a very amazing costume designer, and I think she did a stellar job on Mary. Then there's the voiceover, like you mentioned, and that's from a friend of mine. Her name is Isimene, and she lives in Calgary. She does voiceover work as well for other projects, but for this one, I I told her that, look, we have to approach this from the perspective of a grieving mother. And so for me, I guess this is kind of where the artist comes out. For me, I'm drawn to uh, more melancholy, reflective pieces. And in film, there's a filmmaker called Terrence Malick whose films are of that style. They have many characters reflecting on life. And so just by that very nature, the voice in this in this context where she's grieving over her child, her voice is just really dark and haunting and measured and reflective. So those are kind of the directions I gave for that, and that's the result we got.
Amazing. It's an amazing project and it's an amazing film. And I I mean I'm so happy that we've interviewed you today because it's so timely. We're in the Holy Week now, and I would encourage all our listeners who are listening today to do check out Mary's Way of the Cross. And so can you give us the email and the website that we can have our listeners uh, listen in and see this if possible?
Right. So I believe it will be broadcast on Radio Maria
Yes.
on Good Friday. So definitely look out for that because that version is a special version I made just for radio. Because the film has moments that are quiet, and
Yes,
that wouldn't really work well for radio if you're not hearing anything for
that's
half a
right.
minute. So I made a special radio edit for the film that has everything, all the prayers, all the stations, and some extra sound effects to put some more intensity in the intense moments
My goodness.
that wouldn't necessarily work for the
Bisong,
film.
how long? So then would you say that this project took you a couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, so we shot it in 2022, and
2022. Wow.
yeah, in the summer of 2022. But then I wrote it using there's also a book that's out that's called Mary's Way of the Cross by Richard Fury. And so I use that as a guide to write the script. And then I kind of made it rhyme and do all the poetry stuff. So that started obviously before 2022. That was probably late 2021. And then the film was done in 2023, this time last year. But then the audio version, I just finished working on that last Sunday. So
Mhm. You
yeah.
know, you're such a gifted young man. You really are multi-talented. You're a filmmaker, and from what I understand, you're a poet as well. So you write and you create, and all of these things are, amazing. You've been blessed with these wonderful talents, and I'm so happy that there's finally, in the Canadian film industry, I'm very proud that that you received the award because Canadian film is, as you say, and as we all know, is very secular, and it's not there's not much out there in terms of Catholic, in our Catholic faith. Anything religious is down, it's watered down, and you would never know it was anything. There was any element of faith, but your project, Mary's Way of the Cross, is a beautiful film, and I'm so happy that Radio Maria, thanks to our program director Alex Diaz, will upload that, and all our listeners will be able to listen to Mary's Way of the Cross. And our guest today is Bisong Taiwo. And so please, your website, is it bisongtaiwo.com or?
Yes, so I do have bisongtaiwo.com. There is also maryswayofthecross.com. And you can just click the email button there and let me know what you think.
And everyone, I really think if you do take a moment and do listen to Bisong's film, please suggest it to your parish. If not for this year, next year. But definitely it's, even maybe hosted by the Knights of Columbus. We just had a film in our parish hall, and it was on Saint Faustina. So these are very important ways. I mean, we need to keep connected, and we need to realize that we are in dire need. Our world, our faith is being hammered. It's being slaughtered all the time, and our faith needs this film. Mary's Way of the Cross is such a wonderful way to bring to your parish and bring it to your priest's attention, and allow your priest to make that judgment call. But please do share this with your friends. Do share it and take your time. Maybe sit down and go through the film yourself. I know it will be a blessing to you, because the Stations of the Cross are so important. And here's the thing. Even though we're on Holy Week, that doesn't mean we can't see this Mary's Way of the Cross at any time of the year. So this is a wonderful film that could be shared throughout the year in your parish, and that's how word gets out. Whether it's the Catholic Women's League, or whether it's the Knights of Columbus, or whatever organization that's in your church, or a group that if you have a mother's group or something. This is a beautiful, beautiful film. And, in the month of May in Radio Maria, we have something called a Maryathon. And again, perfect time, even the month of May, showing this particular film would be ideal. And also, I make a call out to anyone who is listening. As you can hear, Bisong is a one-man band. He's doing everything, wears many hats to get this film to where it is today. And you worked so hard on it, Bisong. I mean, it's a credit to you how hard you worked, and your heart has been in it all along. You could have given up at some point, but you hung in there, and you deserve all the accolades and congratulations and blessings from Blessed Mother for continuing and persevering. And I would ask anyone who is or knows of someone who enjoys marketing, maybe who has a bit of a an aggressive kind of approach in terms of being out and confident enough to promote this beautiful film. It would be really wonderful. You could contact Bisong Taiwo on bisongtaiwo.com, and I will spell you his name because it sounds like BW a double E, but it's not. It's BISONG. So it's pronounced Bisong. And Taiwo is Taiwo. So if you have any further questions, you can always email us at radiomaria.ca on the Father's Quilt. You can, or I'm sorry, on Beyond the Pages, because I do another program called The Father's Quilt. But it's a beautiful film, and I know I'm going to be sharing this with our parish priest, and we have a podcast where we do the news, and I'm definitely going to be sharing Bisong's wonderful film on the news of the Catholic Church on the next podcast. So, brothers and sisters, we need to stick together, and we need more people like Bisong Taiwo's out there. So let's support Bisong. Please take a moment, check out the website on Radio Maria, and and if not yet, then please look on Google. You'll find Mary's Way of the Cross. Please look for it. I know you will be touched as I was. Have your box of Kleenex ready, because you're going to need it. And but it's such a beautiful film, and such tremendous work has gone into it. And congratulations, Bisong. Is there anything else
Wow.
that you would like to add?
Oh, on top of that incredible speech. No, but I appreciate everything you've said, and it is true that I'm really here just to contribute to our sacred arts history that we have. We have such a beautiful, rich history of arts in the Catholic Church going back centuries. And I just think in the modern era, there isn't that much in film, which is our modern entertainment, and video games too. Long story, but I'm also doing some in video games from a Catholic perspective. But in terms of the film, my goal is really just to continue that sacred tradition of making high quality, beautiful pieces of art that draws people closer to God, regardless of their faith. So, but yes, I can't do it all by myself. So I'm gonna need our entire
I know.
Catholic folks.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. And I'm hoping that and praying that those who are listening either have a friend, a relative, someone that can come forward and work with Bisong. It would be really wonderful. And Bisong, as we're talking and I'm listening to you, right away comes to mind is Joseph. I mean, the silence of Joseph and how the courage that he had and the mindset and to listen to the angel Gabriel and being told, don't worry, you can marry her. You can, don't divorce her. You don't need to divorce her. She has the Holy Spirit in her. And then going through, Egypt and all, just the tremendous journey that he had to protect Mother Mary and Jesus. He's such an he's such a silent man, and yet he was such a strong man and such a wonderful father and husband. And he really, really epitomized manhood. I thought, what a beautiful, beautiful man he was. So maybe he might be the next one for your project. I don't know, but
Oh, I have way too many
exactly.
ideas for projects like in this kind of tradition
Yeah.
that I would probably have to pass down to my kids for them to finish the work. But we live in an economy, and everything has to be prioritized and financially evaluated. So I can't just do anything I want. I have to kind of follow what everybody wants to see, really. So
Now, Bisong, I have in front of me a Gmail. Can I offer that to
yeah,
our listeners?
absolutely.
Okay, so if you want to get in touch with Bisong soon and right away would be nice. It's film director for hire. Film director for hire at gmail.com. Again, all the words are together. So film director for hire, 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 not hire, but to hire. Okay. At gmail.com. Film director for hire at gmail.com. And that will also be on the information that we'll have here on Radio Maria on Beyond the Pages. And we just want to thank you so much, Bisong Taiwo. You are an amazing man and a wonderful gift you've given us all. And it's so timely, it's perfect. So if it's not uploaded as yet, everyone, please check it out. Mary's Way of the Cross. Mary's Way of the Cross. And sit down with a few of your friends or family members and sit down and watch this film. And so it's something different. Instead of just going to mass and maybe doing the Stations of the Cross there, you could sit down with your book and prayer and just enjoy this beautiful piece of work that is award winning. And we're so proud of you, Bisong. Well done. Your kids and
Ah,
wife are happy, huh?
oh yeah, they're they're ecstatic.
How old are your children?
The first one's 2.5, the second one's
Oh,
9 months. So
oh, you're such a new dad.
that's
That's
right. That's right.
wonderful. Well, God bless your family. God bless you and your projects. May Mother Mary continually hold your hand, guide you, and hold you and keep you and your family together as you journey through and offer us and offer humanity the gifts that you have been so blessed with. Mary's Way of the Cross with
Amen.
our guest today, Bisong Taiwo. God bless and thank you so much for coming.
Amen. So
Amen.
much for having me.
It was a pleasure. Bye for now, everyone. And thanks again, please again, film director for hire at gmail.com. Bisong Taiwo. Remember, Bisong. Taiwo, Taiwo. And again, Mary's Way of the Cross. Please take a moment and have a listen. Bye for now.
Speak to me, call me from the darkness. Just one word can break my heart. Will Lord breaks yours? Speak to me, call me from the darkness. Just one word can break my heart. Will Lord breaks yours?
You have been listening to Beyond the Pages, hosted by Christina Doyle, here on Radio Maria Canada.